Public safety always gets a big chunk of the county budget, and as Miami-Dade's plan tries to fill a $403 million hole, firefighters are feeling a bit of a burn. Now the union is threatening to sue. William McAllister is the president of Metro-Dade Firefighters Local 1403, right here to talk about that. Metro-Dade, you haven't changed to Miami-Dade Local, huh?
No, it's important to note that we represent not just the firefighters, but also the dispatchers, and we work well together with all the fire departments in Dade County and Monroe.
You know, that's actually a good point, because as we'll talk about public safety, and we've talked to the sheriff who was here, we've talked to the mayor who was here. Public safety is much more than one department doing one thing. It's a very complicated thing in the county, but very specifically to the firefighters, who are traditionally very important and a priority in every budget in every county. Very specifically in this very tough budget year, what's in the news right now are those helicopters. And that, I think, is, and I want to start there because that's a very big change for this department, that the 4 air rescue choppers now will apparently at this moment not be reimbursed to the department to the tune of what, $30 million?
28 to 30, it depends, yes.
And so talk about that a little bit, because that is a big chunk of money, but certainly a small part of your budget.
Absolutely. So in 1985, the Air Rescue Program was established, and that program was established with the understanding that it would be a regional asset. And it's something that there are 6 fire departments in Dade County currently, and that one helicopter service provided by 2 bases at Opelika and Tamiami provides services to all 6 fire departments, MDFR, and the 5 municipal fire departments, as well as working with state and federal partners on regional concerns.
And let me just, for people who are not deep in the weeds with all of this stuff, there are the 5, I thought there were 6 cities that that have their own departments that are not part of Miami-Dade Fire Department. Mm-hmm. Hialeah, Coral Gables, Miami Beach, help me.
City of Miami, Key Biscayne.
And Key Biscayne, okay. Yeah. So 5.
Yeah.
And yet those choppers service those that have their own departments and are not part of the county budget. That was kind of the explanation.
Absolutely.
Am I there? Okay.
Yeah.
So do these cities pay into, in any way, the pot to pay for that service?
I think you got right to the heart of the matter here.
Oh, good, because that's kind of what we want to do here.
In 1980, there was questions of what services would be paid for by whom. And the will of the voters was to establish an independent fire rescue taxing district that would pay for the green trucks in your neighborhood firehouses. If you live in one of the cities that have their own fire department, those taxpayers don't pay into the fire rescue taxing district. They pay their municipal taxes, sure, and their fire department is funded out of that. The important point of difference is the county air rescue helicopters, because the extraordinary costs of operating these life-saving resources can only be paid for by the county. So it has been since inception.
Why? Why
because the operating cost of these helicopters is equivalent to the entire operating budget for Coral Gables Fire Department. There's simply just no way for smaller municipalities to provide this critical resource by air.
Is there a thought, or have there ever been any kind of discussions about having a pay per use for the other cities who use it?
There was a discussion back at the inception of the program for fee for service or things of that nature. Yeah. But because of our helicopters' operating stance, it's impossible to charge for it. Our helicopters don't just provide air ambulance service. They keep the corridor down into the Keys open. We work with Florida Forestry to put out wildfires. We do search and rescue missions in the Everglades. So if somebody's riding, using a kayak, and they end up being swept out into Whitewater Bay, we launch a search and rescue mission to find them. And we also work out in the open water in Biscayne Bay, and we also to look for people lost at sea, kayakers, and things of that nature.
So that actually goes to what might be something that solves this budget issue, is to have the people who benefit from this use somehow pay into this fund.
I certainly think that there are opportunities to innovate, but currently the ordinance that was passed—
That's not on the table yet, is what you're saying.
Well, this is codified in law. So there was an ordinance passed by the will of the voters in 1980, 45 years ago, that established the district and clearly said those paying into the district, those funds exclusively will pay for the fire rescue service provided by the green trucks. And everything else that is of a countywide nature will be paid by the county through countywide funds.
So the budget, let's put up that dollar bill if we can. This is the Miami-Dade's budget. Anybody could take a look at this page in the Miami-Dade budget rundown online. And if you look at the bulk of the dollar, the cents on the dollar, all the way on the left, public safety is 31 cents of every dollar in the budget. And that public safety does not include the sheriff's department. And we talked all about that with Sheriff Rosie Cordero-Stutz last week. But this public safety portion does include the fire department.
It does.
And corrections and the medical examiner and a couple of other things. This is the portion of the budget that actually gets cut the least in this very tough year. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, you've threatened a lawsuit. I mean, you mean business. In this kind of contentiousness now that this has set up, how would you approach this budget and fill a $400 million plus hole in the budget?
Yeah, I think it's important to speak to that red part of the dollar bill.
Yeah.
The fire department is one of many departments that fall underneath of that. It's worth less than 1/13 of the total county budget. So the sum total of that is the medical examiner, corrections, and a lot of the other things that fall under that. So I understand the sheriff is outside of it, but clearly we are a small portion of that. And it's just very important to return to the fact that this is established by an ordinance that says that there is an exclusive millage paid for fire rescue service that the community established 45 years ago because they never wanted fire rescue services to be deemed discretionary. They wanted to make sure that the taxes they were paid to provide for engines and rescues to save lives would always be there. The budget would not run into a shortfall, and it would, most importantly, not be used to rescue mayors when their budgets and other areas of county government experience a shortfall like we're seeing now.
Yeah, Miami-Dade historically, and not against this administration certainly, but historically have used things like the transportation penny to backstop things in the general fund. I mean, this isn't the first time. So my question is, I mean, I am very mindful that you are here on our program making a case for a lawsuit you may well bring, and I appreciate that. But how, in a larger sense, as a firefighter in Miami-Dade County, who works hard for and loves the county and provides such a public service, think with me holistically on what then? How does the fire department participate in such a cost-cutting measure to fill a very difficult budget year?
It's important to not pull the fire department into this discussion as it relates to the shortfall.
You don't want to be part of the cuts at all?
Because we administer the fire rescue taxing district independently of the county funds, and our problem is not a shortage of dollars, it's a shortage of service. Right now, according to the department's own documents, we need 36 new units to provide service. Our published response time to life-threatening calls within the urban boundary and the county's CAFR, the annual financial report, was 9.15 minutes. That is too long to wait for help, and it makes it particularly dangerous for firefighters because we're responding to emergencies that are evolving. The longer the time runs before we can put water on fire, before we can defibrillate somebody in cardiac arrest, the more likely it is that either the community suffers or our firefighters are in danger, as we saw in Medley.
And important to note that firefighting includes paramedics, medical
Absolutely.
calls.
And divers.
And divers.
Yeah.
So in this budget is an addition of 13 heavy fleet vehicles and 15 light fleet vehicles, which goes to what you were just talking about. There is, if I'm reading that budget right, there is an addition of 28 vehicles to the department. That's kind of what you were just speaking about?
So because of, and this where it gets a little nerdy, but when you get into the...
That's what we're about.
Yeah,
we are nerdy here.
When you get into the accreditations and certifications this department holds up as promises to the community, we have a fleet that is in need of additional units to continue ensuring we have fire trucks and rescue trucks 24/7, 365 in service.
So are those additions appropriate?
These are necessary because of the wear and tear on vehicles. We're still, in some sense, recovering from the Great Recession. We bottomed out as a department in 2012 when taxes were reduced, and we worked our way through that. And now we're in an opportunity now to fix our service shortfalls with the money that the taxpayers have apportioned to us through their vote.
So, William McAllister, it is great to have you at the table. I know this is a step in the process, and I know this is part of the run-up to what is going to be a pretty contentious debate over the budget, and we're a couple of weeks away from that vote, September 4th. And,
the first ordinance hearing, yes.
Yeah, and so we'll absolutely be watching. I appreciate you coming in with your insights.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.